What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, about a week ago, I did a video about Mikey Garcia returning to the fight game after 2 years. Make sure you guys check out that first video where I was breaking the news of that particular situation. He will be on the Leo Santa Cruz versus Carl Frampton undercard, which that in itself is a good fight. It's a good main event. Yes, you could say they both avoided Rigondeaux, which is true, but nonetheless, we're not getting the Rigondeaux fight. And that's a good clash of styles. Mikey Garcia signed with Al Haymon. It's looking like, and he's going to be on the Haymon card, PBC. So welcome back after 2 years. He hasn't fought since 2014 when he beat Juan Carlos Burgos. And that fight wasn't necessarily his best performance, but I don't blame Mikey Garcia because it looks like Burgos seen his level of skill and technique, and he wouldn't open up and really engage. So it becomes hard for a fighter to push for the fight, because they may have to do something dumb to open themselves up just in order to get their fighter to engage a little bit. So you can't really blame that. Ever since that, he's been on the shelf, legal issue, and he was standing his ground with Top Rank. The Gamboa fight fell through, and we just haven't seen him since. So I'm just happy that he's coming back. And as far as Mikey Garcia, I interviewed him. This is 3 years ago. Let me just tell you guys. So the interview's still up. It's old. This was when my channel was like first starting and whatnot. And this was right before the Juan Lopez fight. So I think he had just beat Salido, became a champion, still undefeated. He was 3 years younger. And the thing that was impressive, when I contacted him and got in touch with him, he was the most humble person. And for a fighter to be that young, a new champion and stuff, you don't know how someone's gonna act. They may be like arrogant, like, who are you? Because at that time, 3 years ago, my channel was, look at it, it only has 325 views, right? You look at my current views, they went up because I put in the work over the years to build the brand. But this was 3 years ago. My channel was super small. He could have been like, he could have A-sided me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm Mikey Garcia. I'm a champion. Who are you? I never even heard of you. But he wasn't like that. He was super humble, very cordial, and it was a good interview. He talked in that interview about fighting Edwin Valero, just a lot of great stuff, and I like his mindset, and I'm just glad to see him back. Now, he did an interview with ESPN's Golpe de Golpe, and what he said in that, he said something that I really like, music to my ears. He said his next fight, just for clarification, because when I made my video, I didn't know what weight it was going to happen, if it was going to be a catch weight. He says his next fight with Elio Rojas on the Frampton versus Leo Santa Cruz card, he said that's going to be at 140 pounds. He will be fighting there. And after that, he's dropping down to 135. So it looks like just giving himself a little bit of a break, because he's been on such an extended layoff that he's not going to just immediately drop down to 135, which I have no problem with that. You have to be smart with your career. He wants to look good. He wants to shine. And if that's one less thing you can worry about, then why not? You know what I mean? Why not worry about having to shave 5 less pounds when you've been on the shelf so long? You know what I mean? And I'm okay with that. I have no problem with that. So he did say that it's at 140. His next opponent is going to be at 140. That's cool. We'll see how he looks then, if he has any ring rust, because it's hard. You know what I mean? Being out of the ring 2 years, you might not look the same. We never know. And only he knows, and his team knows. But the good thing is his weight, it looks like he maintained it somewhat, because I thought he was going to have to go up to 140, 147, like be out that long. There's some guys that if they were on a layoff for 2 years, they would have to move up way more divisions than what they were fighting at. But what he said that was music to my ears is he says he's open to a showdown versus Vasyl Lomachenko at 135. He says if Lomachenko goes up to 135, we can do it. He said, I liked his performance. He looked really good versus Rocky Martinez, and I was impressed. But he said, I've never been hurt. Pretty much I don't fear anybody. That's a good fight. I love that. That's a high-speed chess match. 2 technical guys. Let's say Lomachenko does some more work. Let's say he has a Gary Russell Jr. rematch. Let's say he avenges the Salido loss. Let's say Nicholas Walters do a little bit like that down at his current division of 130, and then move up, fight a guy like Mikey Garcia after he gets his bearings back. That's a hell of a fight. I would pay for that top dollar, and it seems feasible. Al Haymon and Top Rank Bob Arum, they just settled their lawsuit, so it looks like they're going to be on terms to work. The only roadblock or potential roadblock is how Mikey Garcia and Top Rank didn't see eye to eye. So who knows if Bob Arum would hold some kind of grudge where he doesn't want to work with Mikey Garcia, even though he's willing to work with certain Al Haymon fighters possibly. So I don't know how that would play out, but if they can get it done, man, that's a hell of a fight. Two technical masters of their craft. It's just a beautiful fight. I don't know who I would favor. And the other thing that makes it realistic is Vasyl Lomachenko. He has some good mass to him. I think he can move up to 135. I mean, Gamboa moved up to 35, and I think Gamboa is stocky, but I think he would be shorter than Vasyl Lomachenko. I don't know off the top of my head, but just from the eye test, it looks like Gamboa is shorter. And he gave Terrence Crawford a run for his money at 35. So I think Vasyl Lomachenko, he's not as aggressive. He could be aggressive, but he knows when to turn it on and when to turn it off. So I don't think he would fight in a bigger guy as aggressive as maybe did Rocky Martinez if he was moving all the way up to 35. But he recently said that, or Bob Arum said, one of them said that maybe Terrence Crawford and Vasyl Lomachenko could be a thing. But I would rather see this first, and because Crawford has had more time to acclimate, he's been more active. So I'd rather see something like this first, and maybe the winner fight Terrence Crawford. And if it's Mikey Garcia, that'll be a rematch, and he has a chance to avenge his amateur loss to Terrence Crawford. And if it's Lomachenko, then they could be like Arum said, Lomachenko versus Crawford. But I mean, I like all three of these guys. They're highly skilled. They're good for the sport. They're boxing purists, but they also have technique and offense too. So they're all young. They're all under 30, I believe. So great fight. You could really round robin these guys. But I like that notion from Mikey Garcia. He's just trying to get back in the game, and just stating that is what I like to hear. I mean, he could just try to play it safe and like, yeah, Lomachenko's cool. Or see, and that's the thing. A lot of people in the boxing game, they don't keep it real. They don't keep it real with, like, there's someone that's clearly a threat in the division, but then some fighters will act like that fighter ain't shit, or badmouth them, or say, oh, it doesn't make sense. They have no fan base, and the fans do it too. And sometimes these fighters try to give the fans a reason to downplay a fight, but Mikey Garcia is not doing that with this here. He says he's open. He said Lomachenko look good. If he wants to come to 35, we could rock. So I respect that. We'll see first. The first and most important thing is, how does he look after 2 years? Because I'm saying this all in hopes that he looks reminiscent of when he was fighting the guys like Juan Manuel Lopez and the guys when I interviewed him. But we'll have to see. Let's see if he looks sharp and if that 2-year layoff took anything off of his career. But for the future, I definitely like Lomachenko versus Mikey Garcia. Let me know who would win. Share the video, like the video. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, is Ego signing off.